Hi, Paul Slakis, Good News Planner, speaking to Dr. Stephen Sharp. Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Hi, Paul. How are you today? I'm doing very well, thanks.
Good. I hope you're not stressed at this moment because we're going to talk about stress. Dr. Sharp is the program Dean Counseling and Human Services at the College of Social Sciences at the University of Phoenix. He's worked there since 2005, and that University of Phoenix really has grown immensely. Actually, I interviewed the gentleman who started that many years ago. And we're going to talk about healthy for being healthy, I guess, for the holidays, and tips for managing stress, as I mentioned, anxiety during the holiday season. Plus, you have some results from the College of Social Sciences survey on mental health. Okay, doctor, unstress us.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, but the holiday season can be a really joyous time for a lot of people, but it can also be a really stressful time for most of us. And even if it's happy, it's still got a stress that goes with it. And it sometimes it causes a spike in mental health issues this time of year that seem to arise from things like seasonal depression, of course, the stress and anxiety we just talked about. And then there's that post-holiday thing that we all get in January, which is also complicated by everything that we've done in November and December, and suddenly it comes crashing down after the first of the year, and we kind of feel empty after that because, the season itself is full of high excitement, and a lot of things are going on during this period. We spend more money than we're used to, and maybe spending money we don't have. If we're unemployed, it's even harder, because you're being asked to spend money you may not have. So this is a really tough time for a lot of folks.
So what do you suggest for people to do? Because we're right in it. We're right a week away from Christmas, and we're in Hanukkah, and also a lot of people are shutting down, I guess, in this, not humanly shutting down. Well, some probably are shutting down humanly, but businesses are slowing up in certain areas as well, and that also has complications.
Yeah, I know. The economy certainly has its impact, and it just leads to more complications financially. But, one thing that we find just overall, and these are kind of general, not the same for everyone, but, this time of year, people tend to eat out of cycle. They eat more than they're used to. Very often our intake of sugars and sweets is more than normal. For a lot of people, we increase our intake of alcohol. Both of those things can cause some serious changes in mood and mood swings. So we're eating more, we're eating off cycle, and that tends to throw us off balance. Other thing that's happening this time of year is our days are shorter. The shorter daylight hours mean that a lot of people are going to work in the dark. They work inside a building all day long. They go home after the sunset. And this lack of natural light affects our mood and the way that we conduct ourselves every day. So we recommend, that you watch what you eat, kind of try to pay attention to the alcohol intake, and be aware of the light cycles and how they impact your mood. Try to spend some time outdoors in the middle of the day if you can. I know it's cold up north, and you have to dress in layers, and try to get out, and it will help. So other thing that happens is our sleep cycles are interrupted. So I recommend getting a little extra sleep if you can. Stick to your normal routines as much as possible, and like I said, get some exercise if at all possible.
I had with Channel 13, the public television station here in New York, worked on the Brain series. And we did a study at the National Institute of Mental Health with winter depressives based upon lack of light, exactly what you're saying. And they put grow lights in front of someone and showed in the PET scan the changes in the hypothalamus and so on and so forth. It's a true thing, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I know it's fascinating, that we could prescribe or say, I recommend that you go buy a grow light. And you lay under that for an hour every day. But they've been using that in places like Norway and even some places in Alaska have adapted that practice, and it does help.
Tell me about the University of Phoenix, and you did do a research outreach, didn't you?
We did. University of Phoenix College of Social Sciences recently conducted a study about mental health in America, and it was a survey. And we found some interesting things. First of all, we discovered that 97% of Americans believe that mental health issues are a serious problem in this country. We also found that 62% of Americans report they have personally experienced mental health issues. But as importantly, a third of the Americans who go for counseling face barriers to receiving the help that they need. Now, these barriers include things like they don't know where to go. They can't find a counselor that they feel good or comfortable with talking to about their problems. Sometimes people are just reluctant to face their problems and admit that, well, I felt this way for long enough, I think I need some help. And then there's the social stigma. It can be a cultural or family-oriented belief system that says, no, we don't do that in our family, or we don't do that in our culture, we don't go outside. And the social stigma, of course, of having a mental illness is pervasive in this country, regardless of how much we've worked on it and how better it is over the years. It's still there.
How about age factor, 50 plus or 50 minus? How does that work? Did you ask that and learn whether, certain age brackets might have more stress in their lives?
Well, I'm not too sure. I don't know if our study actually had any age-related data, and I couldn't speak to it, off the cuff and say that it's worse at one age or another. Mm-hmm. Especially considering mental health stress during the holidays. It's probably individualized based on family circumstance. If older shut-ins that are living alone are probably having a tough time. At the same time, younger families, people with young children who are facing economic stress and difficulties with employment are also facing a tough time. And then I was brought to my attention a while ago. We still have a very large homeless population in this country, and they're facing tough times. So the barriers to getting counseling, include not having enough money, and sometimes not having insurance or being afraid your insurance won't cover it. But interestingly, that number has gone down over the last year, people concerned about insurance, because now more people have insurance than they did 1 year ago. So that's had a direct impact on the provider shortage, because now we've flooded the market with need, and we haven't increased the number of providers to help. So worldwide, we just don't have enough people to help everyone.
How do you suggest, I guess, a family that has someone in their family or knows somebody? So what are some possible ways that those that aren't feeling these difficulties in their lives but want to reach out and help somebody else? What do you suggest them to do?
There's probably a few ways, to proceed with that. And one is to know your community resources. That's my first recommendation. Most people seem to know that where the emergency room is. They know how to dial 911, and they know that part. They know the medical part, but I don't know how many people know where the mental health center is, where their community mental health resources are that they can go for help even if they can't afford it. So even though there are areas in the country, especially our rural areas, that help is farther away and harder to get into, and those are our mental health shortage areas, it's just good if we had that information in our home and we shared it with our family. And the other point is that, we can help each other. I think we forget that part, that it's not always a professional that's needed. Sometimes if you are just a good listener and you're compassionate and understanding and don't stigmatize, if a person can voice their own experiences, it's very therapeutic. Plus, then you've got a caring, compassionate someone else in your life that can help you find the resources if you need them.
Dr. Sharp, let me ask you, do you have I'm sure you have some classes and courses, so say somebody, was that caring kind of person. They wanted to take a online course with the University of Phoenix. Do you have a good courses to help us?
Absolutely. For more information about what we have available, of course, the best place for your listeners to go is to phoenix.edu, and they can get a lot of information there. If they're interested in pursuing a career in this field, I suggest they do their homework, find a program that fits their career goals and areas of interest. And, they can do that by conducting an online search of the professional boards in the state and make sure that they know what they're going to need.
Okay. Two last questions. Thank you so much. It's valuable information by far.
Hey, thanks for having me, Paul. I hope you have a great day.